almost 400 people in here. Let's get started. So look, I wrote a book. It's called Healing Rainbows. You can see it right behind me. It's exposing all the biblical myths used against the gay community. So I used to be, I thought I was going to be a pastor, and I really used to come down hard on the LGBT community with the Bible. And I realized I was wrong. And so I learned better. When I knew better, I did better. And so a lot of years I was defending the gay community against the Bible. But I really don't like arguing and debating anymore. So what I did is, I wrote a book about it. So if anybody got any questions or want to debate, I can say, hey, just go read the book. I don't have to get into it no more. But because I wrote this book, and a lot of my friends are bishops, pastors, prophets, evangelists, stuff like that, because I've been in church all my life, a serious church boy, I had a lot of people hit me up privately and tell me how much the book blessed them and helped them. And I deal with every scripture in the Bible used against the gay community. And so they, even though they don't admit this stuff publicly, they'll privately call me or DM me or something like that and say, man, it's really blessed me. I thank you for the book. And some people in tears. But I had a guy call me today. And this guy, there was not a feminine bone in his body. There was nothing in my mind to lead me to believe that he was gay. And now what he did admit to me today, he said, well, I never engaged in any acts, but I've always wanted to. I've always had those feelings. I knew I was that way. But he's a minister. He got a wife and kids, you know what I'm saying? But I knew him when he was single. And a real handsome guy, and he had a way with the ladies that was unbelievable. I was jealous of him because he could just be standing there and girls would flock to him and act like I wasn't even there. He had a magnetism about him, and he also had a way where he seemed like he didn't care nothing about those females. They would be fawning all over him, crying, talking to me to try to get with him. It was crazy. And he didn't care nothing about these ladies. He just was always nonchalant. It had never occurred to me that maybe he's so nonchalant because he's not attracted to them. But this revelation of this guy, again, me looking back on his life for years ago, he's a serious pastor right now. But back in the day, when I thought about him, he made me think about pimps. Because now if you think about pimps, as a matter of fact, if you ever read one of the most famous books about pimps, I forgot the name of it, but Iceberg Slim, he talks about one of the greatest weapons you could use against women. He used a lot more strong language than I'm using, but one of the greatest weapons you could use is not giving them no sex. I don't care how fine they are, how much, don't give them no sex. And that seems like such a struggle. And and he's not the only one. You have pimps all throughout history who say that people who are in that game right now talk about that. Don't give them any sex. Withhold sex from these beautiful women who are all around you and willing to do anything for you any time of the day. Your greatest weapon is saying no and not having sex with them. And we idolize those men. Other pimps, other guys idolize them and think, wow, they are so strong mentally. How do they turn these beautiful women down? They're not just regular beautiful women. These are regular beautiful women who grabbing them by the ankles when they leaving the door saying, Daddy, I'll do anything for you. And they say, no, go sit over there. Get out my face. You know what I'm saying? Go make me some money. How can he do that? And like I said, we look at it like, man, he got a lot of self-control. But it occurred to me today after dealing with that minister that is it possible that one of the reasons that a lot of those pimps are so strong is because they're not attracted to those women in the first place. Have you ever thought about that? The reason they got such a disdain for those ladies and could treat them the way they are, easy to smack them, easy to disrespect them, easy to not have sex with them, is because they don't want them anyway. They're not sexually attracted to those women. Think about that. Think about the way pimps dress. Pimps have been, matter of fact, let me start here. Think about gay men. The baddest dressers on the planet are gay men. Gay men they will dress you under the table. But that's what pimps used to do. Pimps used to be the baddest dressed, the baddest apartments, the baddest clothes, the baddest hair. The hair was always permed, the nails was always manicured. feet manicured. They would always say, you gotta look better than them bees. I ain't gonna cuss. But you gotta look better than them. You gotta show them up. Is it possible that most of those pimps, not all of them, but a lot of those pimps, the reason they were so successful, the reason it was so naturally easy to them is because they were undercover gay? Is that possible? Something to think about. Now, I'm not saying all pimps, because, matter of fact, one of my favorite rappers is an ex-pimp named Sugar Free. And I don't believe he had a feminine bone in his body, but I don't know him personally, but I'm just saying, I love Sugar Free. He a bad boy. But, he clearly was a pimp. Real life, not just rapping it. Real pimp. Matter of fact, he might still be doing it now. But the point is that, I don't necessarily believe when you hear his story, I don't believe that he wasn't attracted to women, because I've heard of him talking about struggling not to have sex with women and falling in love and women hurting him. But you have a lot of pimps who give stories and they talk about it for years and how they never, and then it makes me think of other guys that I went to school with and stuff like that who never had any issue turning those females down. And I used to look at them like, wow, how do you do that? But is it possible that we idolize them for doing something that was easy for them to do? It's like, I don't smoke. I've never smoked. So you could tempt me with cigarettes all day. It's nothing to me. It's easy for me to turn it down. Now, a person that has a struggle with cigarettes is looking at me like, wow, I'm so strong. Is it possible the reason that a lot of pimps had no problem the way they treated women, the way they could abstain from having sex with those women and make those women long for them more and more and more? When everybody walked, every time these beautiful women, these prostitutes walk down the street, a million guys is hitting on them just going to the grocery store. Everybody want them. They know they fine and beautiful. But this pimp that they love and want his attention don't give them no attention whatsoever. And it's easy, but he can make them go months and months and months without having sex, because he got to make himself go in and have sex when he do after those months of making those women sit. Just something to think about. I don't know. I'm not a pimp. But I just thought about that. And again, I mentioned to other people, and it makes logical sense. Think about the way they dress, the way they carried themselves. A lot of them had even hot, you know what I'm saying, all that kind of, I just feel feminine energy to them, a lot of it. Beautiful, hair done, nails done, manicured. Hey, am I the only one that's occurred to? Again, I would have never thought about that until I wrote this book, and I be having people who never, I had no clue they were even wrestling with the idea of it. And they had nothing fit. Sometimes you can kind of tell if a person is gay or they got tendencies. Some of these guys I had no clue. But I did notice how they had this supernatural ability to turn down the ladies. Something to think about. Let me see what you guys are talking about in here. Let's see.